I'm the villainess in this story. Everyone in this wealthy, elite family adored my poor, fragile adopted sister. My older brother Damien would snap. "Don't scare Bella. Her weak heart can't take it." My other brother, Magnus, would add, "Lend Bella your nightgown, all right? It wasted on you." Even my fiance said, "This is nothing more than a marriage of convenience." My true love has always been Bella. In my last life, I humbled myself endlessly to please them. What did I receive in return? They sent me to a mental asylum. Then I came back to life. On the day of my engagement party, a voice echoed in my mind and made its announcement. "The madness reward system has chosen you. Any unhinged behavior will earn rewards worth hundreds of millions of dollars." I grinned and sent the pompous 10-tier cake crashing to the floor. I'm done with this shitty family. The banquet hall erupted. Cream and fillings bursting outward and splattering every unfortunate soul within reach. Damien was the first to calm. He stormed toward me and lifted his hand. "What the hell? Have you lost your mind? You could have scared Bella to death." In my last life, I would have collapsed to my knees, sobbing and begging him not to hit me. I would have sworn I never meant any harm. But now, a sweet, almost angelic computerized voice chimed inside my head. 3-star madness reward. $15 million. My phone vibrated. I glanced at the screen. Oh, sweet Lord. I caught Damien's wrist, yanked it aside with all my strength, and followed through with a sharp slap across his face. The hardest I had ever delivered. The crowd gasped. Damien stared at me in disbelief. "Did you just hit me?" "Already lost a few brain cells from the impact." I sneered and shook my hand to chase away the numbness. "Let this remind you who I am, dumbass. I'm the true heiress of the Blanc family. I wasn't adopted like Bella. So why the hell is she wearing my engagement dress?" 4-star madness reward. $30 million. Touching. The rush was intoxicating. And so was the sudden jump in my bank balance. Agnes hurried over, brushing past Gabriel Black along the way. He spared the would-be groom no attention and draped his coat around Bella Summers, as if she had just survived a major trauma. That was completely uncalled for. "Marceline," he shouted. "The only thing Bella did wrong was admire your dress. What's so terrible about sharing with your little sister? You don't even wear styles like this I wasted on you. Just let her have it, please." How could it not be my style, when I was the one who flew all the way to the fashion capital of Perez to have it custom made? The process had taken 3 months and cost $1 million. And just before the party began, it vanished. Where else could it have gone? I marched up to Bella and fixed her with a hard stare. "Did you just call it a waste on me?" She shifted uneasily in Magnus' arms, eyes rimmed red. "I'm sorry, Marcy. I didn't know you'd be this upset. I thought it was the prettiest dress I've ever seen. And I only wanted to try it on. I'll take it off right now." She reached for the zipper as if she meant to undress on the spot. If she actually did it, the resulting scandal would be something the Blanc family could never recover from. Just as I expected, Gabriel held her hand and glared at me. "When are you going to stop these hysterics, Marceline? Why are you acting like a madwoman? Over something as trivial as a dress?" Growled. "Look at her. Don't tell me you still haven't realized it. The dress looks better on her than it ever could on you." Damien finally regained his composure and sneered. "He's right. Unlike you, Bella actually knows how to behave. Like an heiress from an elite family." I laughed. Then I laughed harder until tears streamed down my cheeks. So this was my family. This was my husband. I had died like a dog in my last life for this den of douchebags. I grabbed a bottle of red wine. You love this dress so much, bitch. Then take it. I slammed the neck of the bottle against the edge of the table. And shattered it. Wine cascaded over Bella, soaking the dress and ruining her makeup. She shrieked, my eyes. It hurts. Magnus and Gabriel rushed to her side to clean her up. Meanwhile, Damien raised his fist as if he were asserting dominance. You're asking for it, he shouted. I stepped back and tiptoed over the champagne tower. Beside me, the crisp, jaunty crash of expensive glasses shattered. Ringing across the floor sounded like music. Damien froze and retreated from the spreading carpet of glass shards, along with several others. I stood amid the wreckage and pointed at these so-called heroes. This is nothing more than a marriage of convenience to you. Isn't it, Gabriel? Fine, have each other as much as you want. Unlike you all, I don't mistake trash for gourmet food. There's no better match than a dog and his bitch. I turned to my brothers. As for you two simps, why don't you make Bella your sister and your heiress instead? Then you can lick her heels to your heart's content. I faced the stunned crowd. From this moment on, I am cutting all ties with the Blanc family, I declared. Fuck this. Fuck this family. I kicked away what remained of the cake and strode toward the front door as if the place belonged to me. The crowd stared in stunned silence. And my father's voice echoed, stand right there, Marceline. If you walk out that door, I swear to God you won't get a single cent from this family. I'll cancel every goddamn card you have. Let's see how long you last living like a peasant. I halted and turned back, flashing him my brightest smile. Yes, yes, yes. Freedom from your filthy money. Thank God. Why would I need their money anyway? When I had the madness reward system, I could make millions in the blink of an eye. Bitches. Throwing a fit against the blanks and severing your ties with them. 5-star madness reward. $150 million. Your first quest has been completed. Rewards for completing the newbie challenge. An ultra-luxury apartment in the heart of the city. And a luxury car parked outside the hotel. My heels echoed through the silent banquet hall as I walked toward my freedom, without sparing anyone a glance. Blazing red sports car waited outside. I reached into my purse and found the keys already inside. The missus had already set the coordinates to my new home. I followed the directions and drove straight toward Paradise Castle. Paradise Castle was the most expensive property in the entire city. Having enough money did not guarantee the right to buy it, which only proved how absurdly generous the missus truly was. I stood behind a 600-square-yard floor-to-ceiling window, gazing at the city's nightscape, while red wine sloshed gently in my glass. I had never felt more at peace in my last life. I must have been genuinely brain dead to believe they would love me simply because I obeyed every command. Oh, I was so loved. I turned my phone over and braced myself for the flood of messages and missed calls. Where the hell are you, my dear mother? Lucy shrieked in a voice message, her voice sharp enough to pierce stone. Get your ass back here and apologize to Bella now. Do you have any idea how much shame you brought on us today? Poor Bella hasn't stopped crying. Damien's text followed soon after. Damien? Running out of money already? Now that Dad terminated your cards? Once you finally get tired of starving yourself, you can come back on your knees and beg for forgiveness. We might consider mercy if you show enough sincerity. And finally, Gabriel. Gabriel. Enough with your theatrics, Marceline. You embarrassed me today. But I am willing to be magnanimous. Come to my office tomorrow. And I may consider not canceling our marriage. I stared at the screen and laughed. Look at all these clowns. They truly believe I am homeless and penniless. Just because I left the blanks. I sent a photo to Damien, showing a small glimpse of my bank balance. $1 million. Give or take. I added a caption. Call me mommy, and maybe I'll buy you a wife. Then I blocked his number. Next was Gabriel. I sent him a voice message. I've always been curious about something. Are you actually impotent? One would think. Bella would have stopped being a virgin by now. Given how often you two are together. Instead, she looks like she's wilting. Satisfied? I blocked him as well. Finally, Lucy's turn arrived. Stop screaming into the void. Just pretend I died and move on with your life. After all, the only one you ever needed was Bella, right? I was just an accessory. May you all live like royalty during the revolution. With lives as long as the space newspapers reserve for obituaries. I blocked the last number. Silence reclaimed the world. Delivering emotional damage to family. 3-star madness reward. $7 million. Collapsed onto my Utalia. Genuine leather couch inside in contentment. Making money really was not that hard. Still, it was not enough. The next morning, the doorbell dragged me out of sleep. I peered through the peephole and saw Magnus. How the hell did he find out I lived here? Of course. He was a hacker. Tracking my phone would have been effortless for him. There was no reason to rush. I brushed my teeth and washed my face at my own unhurried pace. Then opened the door. He looked livid. How the hell did you get in here? Where did you get all this money? What is this place, a rental? His eyes narrowed with suspicion. Don't tell me you debased yourself and sold your body. Just to get a pathetic edge over us? Marceline. How else could you afford this place? After Dad terminated your cards? I leaned against the door and yawned. Man, your language. You kiss Bella's boo-boo with that mouth? Marceline. Magnus snarled. He drew a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Come home with me. Bella has been running a high fever since last night. She keeps calling for you and says she feels guilty. Mom and Dad are worried sick. Go back, apologize. And we'll treat all of this as water under the bridge. I narrowed my eyes and let a slow grin spread across my face. Fever? Oh, the Lord really does punish injustice. Has it started? Eating away at the pitiful number of brain cells she has left? You know, you could always institutionalize her in that mental asylum. You were scouting for me. In my last life. My dear family had forcibly institutionalized me. For being hysterical and aggressive. It had been pure torment. Magnus' face darkened. What the hell are you talking about? Since when did you turn into such a dish? A bag? Marceline. Bella is one of the kindest, purest girls I've ever met. How could you curse her like that? Kind? Pure? I snorted. What kind of pure soul tries to steal her sister's fiance? What kind of pure soul steals her sister's engagement dress? Magnus, are you slow? That's not what happened. Bella was just. I don't care, I snapped. You just want me back. So Bella can have her unwitting blood donor cattle, right? Well, not a snowball's chance in hell. Magnus roared and lunged from my shoulders. You fucking bitch. I tried playing nice. But you keep forcing my hand. Dad made it clear that if you're not back by today, you're dead to all of us. Before I could strike back, a mechanized voice rang inside my head. Quick quest unlocked. Let Magnus Blanc get a taste of free fall reward. 51% of Lumos Enterprises stocks. Lumos was the largest business empire in the city. Gabriel's company barely qualified as a warm-up act. Beside that juggernaut, I grabbed Magnus by the arm and flipped him over my shoulder. It took almost no effort. Agnes was the type who lived behind a computer screen. A basement-dwelling nerd with the physique of a couch potato. He hit the floor with a hard slam and let out a groan. I seized his leg and dragged him toward the balcony. Marceline. He screamed and stumbled in vain. What do you think you're doing? Have you lost your mind? At 10 a.m. At 10 a.m., the morning sun was bright, blinding, and utterly indifferent to the squeals of a pathetic grown man. I dragged Magnus by his ankle across the polished hardwood floor. He clawed frantically at the ground, his fingernails leaving pathetic little scratch marks on the expensive rugs. But adrenaline, fueled by the sheer, unadulterated hatred I had harbored across 2 lifetimes, made him feel as light as a feather. Marceline. Stop. You're crazy. Magnus shrieked, his voice cracking into a high-pitched prepubescent squeal. Crazy? I chuckled, kicking the floor-to-ceiling glass door open. The biting morning wind whipped through my hair. Magnus, darling, I'm just getting started. We were on the 60th floor. The balcony had a sleek, minimalist glass railing. I didn't stop until his upper torso was dangling over the edge. The bustling city traffic below looked like lines of crawling ants. Look down, Maggie, I purred, grabbing a handful of his designer hair and forcing his face toward the terrifying drop. Beautiful view, isn't it? A bit breezy, maybe. Marceline. Please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Magnus sobbed, his hands desperately clutching my wrists. His face had drained of all color, turning a sickly, translucent white. A warm, foul-smelling puddle began to pool around his expensive trousers. He had actually wet himself. The great hacker, the arrogant Blanc heir, crying and pissing his pants over a little height. Ding. The angelic voice of the system chimed in my head, sweeter than a symphony. Quick quest completed. Magnus Blanc has experienced the thrill of free fall. Reward granted, 51% controlling shares of Lumos Enterprises. All legal documents, stock transfers, and corporate notifications have been seamlessly integrated into reality. A rush of pure, unadulterated power surged through my veins. Lumos Enterprises. The absolute titan of the city's economy. They owned the banks that held Gabriel's loans. They owned the supply chains that fed my father's manufacturing plants. I hadn't just been handed a knife, I had been handed the nuclear launch codes. I yanked Magnus backward, tossing him onto the balcony tiles like a sack of garbage. He curled into a fetal position, hyperventilating and weeping. Get out, I said, my voice cold and flat. He didn't need to be told twice. Scrambling on his hands and knees, slipping in his own urine, Magnus bolted for the front door, leaving a pathetic trail behind him. I called the building's concierge. Send a cleaning crew to the penthouse. Someone left a biohazard on my balcony. An hour later, I was stepping out of my red sports car in front of the towering monolith of Lumos Enterprises. I had dressed for war, a tailored, blood-red blazer, razor-sharp stilettos, and vintage Chanel sunglasses. The lobby was a cathedral of marble and glass. As I walked toward the VIP elevators, a pair of burly security guards stepped in my path. Excuse me, miss. Do you have an appointment? Before I could answer, the private elevator chimed. A man stepped out, followed by a frantic-looking entourage of executives. He was tall, impeccably dressed in a charcoal 3-piece suit, with eyes like chipped obsidian and a jawline that could cut glass. This was Silas Vance, the ruthless executive VP who had been running Lumos with an iron fist. He stopped, his dark eyes locking onto me. The executives behind him held their breath. Rumors of Silas's cruelty were legendary in the business world. He was known to dismantle rival companies just because he was bored. He walked slowly toward me, his gaze sweeping over my red blazer and unapologetic smirk. "Miss Blanc, I presume?" Silas asked, his voice a low, resonant baritone. "It's just Marceline now," I corrected smoothly, slipping off my sunglasses. "The Blancs and I have parted ways." A slow, dangerous smile spread across Silas's face. It was the smile of a predator recognizing another of its kind. "Understood." The board was thrown into chaos this morning when the registries updated. 51%. "You own me now, boss." "Good. Let's see how useful you are." I walked past him, stepping into the VIP elevator. Silas followed, waving off the rest of his stunned entourage. As the doors closed, Silas leaned against the mirror, studying me. "I heard about the spectacle at the Blanc engagement party last night. You smashed $1 million dress, assaulted your brother, and declared war on your family. And now you've magically acquired a controlling stake in the largest conglomerate in the hemisphere. Are you asking for my secret, Silas?" "I'm asking for my orders," he replied smoothly. "I don't care how you got the throne. I only care about whose heads we're putting on pikes." I liked him. No moral grandstanding. No whining about family ties. Just cold, calculated ambition. "Gabriel Black's company relies on a line of credit from Apex Bank, correct?" I asked, stepping off the elevator into the sprawling CEO suite. "Yes. We own Apex. Call the loans. All of them. Effective immediately. Cite a breach of moral clauses, market instability, whatever legal jargon you want. Choke his cash flow." I sat behind the massive mahogany desk, sinking into the leather chair. "And the Blancs. What's their current vulnerability?" Silas pulled up a tablet, his fingers flying across the screen. "Your father's company is overleveraged. He's betting everything on a new microchip manufacturing plant, but the raw materials are supplied by a subsidiary of ours." "Halt the shipments," I ordered. "Tell them there's a supply chain issue. Let them bleed. I want them desperate." Silas's eyes gleamed with dark amusement. "Consider it done. They won't know what hit them." The retaliation from my former family came faster than I expected, though it was as pathetic and predictable as a cheap soap opera. 3 days after I took over Lumos, I was sipping espresso in my penthouse when Silas forwarded me a live news link. My father, Richard Blanc, was holding a press conference. He stood at a podium looking appropriately solemn. Next to him was my mother, dabbing her dry eyes with a tissue, and Gabriel, looking handsome and tragic. But the star of the show was Bella. She sat in a wheelchair, for God's sake, hooked up to a Prop 4 drip, looking pale and fragile. "It breaks my heart to speak of this," my father told the cameras, his voice thick with fake grief. "My eldest daughter, Marceline, has suffered a severe mental breakdown. She violently assaulted her brothers, Magnus and Damien, leaving Magnus severely traumatized. She has stolen funds from our family accounts to fund a lavish, delusional lifestyle, and worst of all, she has viciously bullied our sweet Bella, whose heart condition has worsened due to the stress." The reporters gasped, snapping photos of Bella, who offered a weak, trembling smile. "We are officially severing all ties with Marceline." Gabriel stepped up to the mic, looking like a martyr. "I cannot in good conscience marry a woman so devoid of empathy. Bella is the true heart of the Blanc family, and I will be standing by her side through her recovery." I laughed so hard I spilled my espresso. Ding. Madness reward system alert. The Blancs are attempting to assassinate your character. Counterattack and humiliate them on a citywide scale. Reward, $300 million and the deed to the Blanc family manor. "Silas," I said, dialing his number without taking my eyes off the TV. "Are they broadcasting this live from the Blanc corporate hotel?" "Yes," Silas answered instantly. Should I send a team to shut off their power? No. That's too boring. I want you to buy the broadcasting network that's airing this. Right now. Whatever it costs. It will cost a premium to force a hostile buyout in 10 minutes, Silas warned, though he sounded excited. I have the money. Just do it. Then, I need you to hack the teleprompter and the main screen behind them. Magnus is their cybersecurity lead, Silas noted. Magnus is a bedwetting coward who uses the password BellaForever123. Just get in. 15 minutes later, right as my father was preparing to announce Gabriel and Bella's new engagement, the massive LED screen behind them flickered. The corporate logo vanished. Instead, a video began to play. It was crystal clear security footage from the hospital corridor from 2 years ago, footage I had paid a small fortune to a private investigator to unearth in my past life, only to be locked in an asylum before I could use it. On the screen, Bella was standing outside a doctor's office, perfectly healthy, smoking a cigarette. Damien was with her. Audio blared through the press conference speakers. Damien, I'm so bored of playing the sick girl, Bella's voice whined, sounding nothing like the angelic whisper she used in public. When is the old man going to sign the trust fund over to me? Soon, babe, Damien replied, leaning in and kissing her, a lingering, entirely unbrotherly kiss that sent shockwaves through the live reporters. We just need to make Marceline look crazy a little longer. Dad already hates her. Give it 6 months, and we'll have her committed. Then the Blanc Empire is ours. The press conference erupted into absolute pandemonium. On live television, my father spun around, his jaw dropping as he watched his golden son kissing his adopted daughter, openly plotting to steal his wealth. My mother shrieked and fainted. Gabriel stared at the screen, looking like he had been struck by lightning. Bella jumped out of her wheelchair, a miraculous recovery, and screamed, "Turn it off. It's a deep fake. Turn it off." But the screen shifted to a new document. Bella's real medical records. Diagnosis, perfectly healthy. No heart condition detected. Prescribed treatments, vitamin C placebos. My phone vibrated violently in my hand. Quest completed, absolute public humiliation. Reward, $300 million. The deed to the Blanc family manor has been transferred to your name. I took a sip of my espresso, feeling the warmth spread through my chest. Ah, the sweet taste of destruction. 2 weeks passed. The fallout was apocalyptic. Gabriel's company, starved of cash by Apex Bank and crippled by the public scandal of him dumping his fiance for a manipulative fraud, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. My father's manufacturing plants shut down after Lumos choked their supply chains. The Blanc stock plummeted by 80%. They were bleeding out, and the sharks were circling. Desperate to save face and secure emergency investments, my father liquidated his last remaining personal assets to host a massive, lavish gala at the Blanc Manor. It was billed as a restructuring summit, a pathetic attempt to prove to the city's elite that the Blancs weren't dead yet. I decided it was the perfect time to drop by and collect my property. I wore a custom, backless black gown that cost more than Gabriel's remaining net worth, adorned with a diamond necklace that Silas had gifted me as a corporate expense. Silas himself accompanied me, looking like a dark god of ruin in a tailored tuxedo. When the double doors of the Blanc Manor ballroom opened and the majordomo announced my arrival, Miss Marceline, majority shareholder of Lumos Enterprises. The music stopped. The clinking of champagne glasses ceased. 300 of the city's wealthiest elites turned to stare at me in absolute, horrified silence. My father, looking 10 years older and sporting deep bags under his eyes, pushed through the crowd. Damien and Magnus flanked him. Magnus physically flinched when he made eye contact with me, taking a step backward. "You!" my father hissed, his face turning purple with rage. "How dare you show your face here? Security! Throw this ungrateful bitch out." 2 security guards approached, but Silas simply raised a hand. A dozen Lumos private contractors, men who looked like ex-military mercenaries, stepped out from the shadows of the ballroom, easily overpowering the manor's guards. "I wouldn't do that, Richard," Silas said smoothly, his voice carrying effortlessly across the silent room. "It is a federal offense to trespass a property owner from her own home." "Her own home," my father sputtered, spitting as he spoke. "This is Blanc Manor. It has been in my family for 4 generations." I smirked, snapping my fingers. Silas handed me a thick manila folder. I pulled out the deed and dropped it onto the floor at my father's feet. "You remortgaged this house 3 times to keep your failing factories afloat, Dad," I said, my voice dripping with faux sympathy. "You took those loans from Apex Bank. You defaulted yesterday. I bought the debt. I foreclosed on the property. As of 5 p.m. today, this manor belongs to me." The guests whispered furiously. A few of the smarter investors were already edging toward the exits, realizing the Blanc ship wasn't just sinking, it had been torpedoed. Damien, whose arm was in a sling from punching a wall after the press conference fiasco, lost his mind. "You fucking whore," he screamed, pulling a steak knife from a nearby buffet table and lunging at me. I didn't even blink. Before Damien could cross half the distance, Silas stepped in, grabbing Damien's wrist, twisting it sharply. A sickening crack echoed through the ballroom. Damien dropped the knife, screaming in agony as he collapsed to his knees. System alert, physical retaliation protocol engaged. Reward, $50 million. Assaulting the CEO of Lumos Enterprises with a deadly weapon, Silas noted casually, stepping over Damien's writhing body. "That's easily 10 years in a maximum security penitentiary. I'll have my lawyers draft the charges tonight." "Marceline, please." A pathetic, wavering voice broke through the chaos. Gabriel stepped out from the crowd. He looked like a beggar. His designer suit was rumpled, his hair a mess. He fell to his knees in front of me, right beside the shattered remains of my father's pride. "Marcy." "I was wrong," Gabriel wept, grabbing the hem of my dress. "Bella bewitched me. She lied to all of us. I never loved her. You and I, we were supposed to be married. We can still merge our families. With Lumos backing my company, we could rule this city." I looked down at the man I had once humbled myself for. In my last life, I had cooked for him, catered to his every whim, and watched him sign the papers to commit me to an asylum without batting an eye. I raised my stiletto and brought the razor-thin heel down hard onto the back of his hand. Gabriel shrieked, snatching his bleeding hand away. "Rule the city with a bankrupt dog?" I laughed, a sharp, cold sound that sent shivers through the crowd. "Gabriel, you couldn't even manage a lemonade stand without my family's backing. And now? You're less than nothing. Go rot in the slums with the rest of the trash." "Marcy." "Sister." Bella threw herself at my feet. She wasn't wearing designer clothes anymore. My father had cut her off entirely after the kissing video with Damien leaked, realizing his precious adopted daughter was just a gold-digging parasite. She looked ragged, desperate. "Please." "I'm sorry. I'll be your servant. I'll wash your feet. Just don't kick me out onto the streets." Bella sobbed, her tears staining the marble floor. I crouched down, lifting her chin with a single finger. I looked into the eyes of the girl who had orchestrated my death in my previous life. There was no defiance left. Just hollow, pathetic fear. "You see, Bella," I whispered, so only she could hear. "In my last life, I begged you. I begged you to tell them the truth. And you just smiled and watched them drag me away." Her eyes widened in uncomprehending horror. What? I stood up, wiping my finger on a silk handkerchief and tossing it onto her face. "You have exactly 10 minutes to vacate my property," I announced to the Blanc family. "Whatever you can carry in your hands, you can keep. The rest goes to the incinerator. My father fell to his knees, clutching his chest. His breathing grew ragged, his face turning an alarming shade of gray. My heart, my pills. He gasped, reaching out to Magnus. Magnus just stared at him, completely broken, muttering to himself, rocking back and forth. Damien was sobbing over his broken arm. Bella was trying to crawl away. Not a single one of them helped the patriarch of the Blanc family. Silas offered me his arm. Shall we, boss? The air in here is growing quite stale. Let's, I smiled, taking his arm. I'm suddenly craving seafood. Let's buy that Michelin star place downtown. As we walked out of the ballroom, the sound of sirens wailed in the distance. The police Silas had preemptively called for Damien's assault. Ding. Final revenge quest completed. The Blanc family has been utterly destroyed. Your wealth is now incalculable. Madness reward system going into hibernation mode. Enjoy your empire, villainess. I stepped out into the cool night air, the keys to the city in my hand, a ruthless billionaire at my side, and absolute, unending freedom in my heart. I didn't look back. Let it burn.